What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the corner. As always, I am the DM, and today I want to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, James Earl motherfucking Jones. Because apparently he's passed away. So I just found this. I was looking. I was in one of my discords, and someone posted a link to this tweet. Um, James Earl Jones was probably one of the most iconic movie actors in cinematography history. This man has voiced some of the most iconic characters ever, including in Star Wars and in The Lion King. Now, I don't know all of his works. That's one reason why I brought up this website right here, which points out 12 great films that James Earl Jones was a part of. And so my first introduction to Mr. James Earl Jones was in Star Wars, as I'm sure quite a few people probably were. The original one, of course. Now, James Earl Jones in the original was Darth Vader. Is Darth Vader, if we want to be realistic about it. I don't think anyone could really replace him as Darth Vader. Although I will admit, any actor worth half their salt probably would never try to be James Earl Jones's replacement because that's just an impossibility. Now, the second one was, of course, as Mufasa. Um, Mufasa was probably one of the most influential figures in my childhood. The line, "Remember who you are," is probably one of the most iconic lines in animated movie history, if not in movie history. Pretty much everyone knows this line because that's just how iconic it is, right? That's not even to mention how iconic the Lion King movies themselves are. Uh, Now, thankfully, he did live long enough to be able to voice Mufasa in the upcoming live action movie. Although I'm gonna admit I'm a little sketchy on it. From what I've seen, it hasn't really impressed me too much so far. But I gave the first Lion King live action movie a chance, so I'm gonna give this one a chance, and we'll see where it goes. Hopefully, it does justice to Mr. Jones's legacy, which I really, really hope it does. Now, some of the other movies that he has starred in are Doctor Strangelove. Now, I've never seen Doctor Strangelove, so I want to go through and watch all of these trailers, all of these clips that this site has on it, because I want to learn more about his history, which is something that, as someone who does genuinely love his characters, I feel like I should have done before, and I wanted to bring that with me into YouTube and have a record of it, as I often do with pretty much anything that piques my attention. So let's go ahead and watch this first one, Doctor Strangelove.
Group Captain Mandrake speaking.
Listen to me carefully. The base is being put on condition red.
Jolly good idea. Keeps the men on their toes.
Group Captain, I'm afraid this is not an exercise.
Hell.
It appears that the order called.
Keeps the men on their toes.
Group Captain, I'm afraid this is not an exercise.
Hell.
It appears that the order called for the planes to attack their targets inside Russia.
This man is obviously a psychotic.
The Doomsday Machine.
What is that?
A device which will destroy all life on Earth.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. Dr. Strangelove. How is it possible for them to have built such a thing?
It is not only possible.
How is it possible for them to have built such
a nuclear warhead, handle with care. Hi there, dear John.
a thing.
It is not only possible, it is essential.
Dimitri, there's no point in you getting historical at a moment like this.
I wish we had one of them doomsday machines, Nancy.
Okay.
Well, I was interested in whether or not I was going to get blown up by an H-bomb, you know.
I vaguely remember that, you know, if there was a nuclear attack, the best thing to do was hide under your desk or wear a tinfoil hat. He was terrified like everybody was.
He looked at our frailty, at our vanity, the fact that we have a tendency to self-destruct, we as humans.
Oh, that is interesting that even back in 1960s, that was the kind of sentiment that he realized that humans have a tendency to self-destruct. And I feel like we've forgotten that somewhere along the way. But that was an interesting trailer. Interesting that Mr. Jones, Mr. James Earl motherfucking Jones, was not actually listed in the trailer itself, and you usually see like really big name actors put there. So it's interesting to see this. This must have, I presume this was probably like maybe towards the start of his like debut or whatever. So let's see here. Not many actors have the good fortune to make their big screen debut in one of the greatest films of all time. Jones only appears in only appears in a handful of scenes in the grim nuclear war comedy Dr. Strangelove. But he does a lot with those few minutes, playing a bombardier whose consummate professionalism leads him to follow the orders of any crackpot commander or incompetent politician who barks in his ear. Interesting. Okay. The Great White Hope. I want to see if there's a trailer for that on YouTube. Because if there is, I would love to watch it. I'd love to see it. There is. All right.
The most honored play in the history of Broadway becomes an electrifying motion picture. The Great White Hope.
I'm not ashamed of wanting Jack for a lover. He's generous and he's kind. He's sensitive.
So this is very interesting because right here at the start,
The Great White Hope.
I mean, just the name alone is. The thing to keep in mind around these times is it's racism and slavery was still pretty recent in everyone's mind and everything, and racism was still very prevalent. And we can see that right here with the title, The Great White Hope. And then right here is presumably blackface, which is a pretty notorious stereotype that we have thankfully abandoned, or at least most of society has been abandoned.
I'm not ashamed of wanting Jack for a lover. He's generous and he's kind. He's sensitive. Why are you smiling?
I've embarrassed you, forgive me.
I'm crazy for him, yes. I don't care, it's the truth.
How would you like it if he claims the belt's his because you won't fight him? How would you like it if the whole damn country says, Brady let us down. He let a loudmouth nigger be champion of the world.
As a Broadway play, The Great White Hope won 2 Antoinette Perry Awards. For Best Actor, James Earl Jones.
Now, most white folks, of course, are behind the White Hope. Brady's the redeemer of the race and so on. But you, Jack Jefferson, are you the Black Hope?
I'm black and I'm hoping.
Any idea, Jack, why you smile when you're fighting?
I'm a happy sort of person and it always feels good, huh? And when I'm fighting, I feels double good. So what do I want to put a face on for? Besides, it's a sport, right? Like a game. Well, I like whoever I'm hitting to see that I'm still his friend.
For Best Actress, Jane Alexander.
Why can't you wait and give me one chance to make you happy? Only one! I swear I've never had one!
As a Broadway play, The Great White Hope won the Pulitzer Prize for playwright Howard Sackler.
I'm in the prime of my life. I'm gonna fight. I got my turn to be the champion of the world. I'm taking my turn.
Jack?
I'm a federal marshal, Jefferson. At 10 a.m. this morning, you drove Miss Eleanor Backman across the Illinois-Wisconsin state line. Having done so, you proceeded to have relations with her. Under the Mann Act, that makes you liable. Therefore, I'm placing you under arrest.
And it also won the New York Drama Critics Award for Best Play of the Year.
You're not your own man anymore, Jack.
Now you're old.
How can you be your own man when they have you? They do and you know it.
A devastating play becomes an unparalleled motion picture.
Every time you push that pinched up face in front of me, I see where it done got me. I don't want to give you nothing, you understand? I'll cut it off first.
Hombre.
You give me a break, for God's sake.
The Great White Hope. So great.
I would want to see this movie only because it's like a time capsule into the thoughts and the minds of everyone who lived at this time. It gives you an insight into where America was only 54 years ago? So like 5.5 decades ago? And to see where we are now, we've come pretty far. Admittedly, not far enough. So let's see here. Jones received his only competitive Oscar nomination, becoming the second black man after Poitier, who I have heard of, to receive one for his first major leading film role in an adaptation of Howard Sackler's stage play, sensitively directed by the great Martin Ritt. Never heard of him. Jones plays Jack Jefferson, a character based fairly closely on the early 20th century boxer Jack Johnson. Both the fictional and real Jack dealt with widespread social hostility because of their cockiness, success in the ring, and interracial relationships. The star is so outsized and charismatic in The Great White Hope that he makes those objections seem petty. Interesting. The Man. Let's see. This is 2 years later. Wow. Okay. I'm not gonna watch all of them. I'm gonna admit, but casting a black actor as the president of the United States has become a Hollywood cliche over the past couple of decades. But it was so radical in 1972 that Rod Serling, the creator of The Twilight Zone, was called in to write the screenplay for the big screen adaptation of Irving Wallace's best-selling novel, The Man. Though the movie overplays the novelty, making most of his administration's crises race-related, Jones still fleshes the character out, making him into a person, not a symbol. Oh, I never would have thought that this kind of movie would have been done in the 70s. That is wild. Like maybe the 90s, maybe late 80s, but not the 70s, let alone the early 70s. That's wild. That's interesting. Okay, let's watch Claudine, since they have it here.
Wait a minute. It's 139 Edgecombe Avenue. My name is Claudine Price.
Rupert P. Marshall. 7 o'clock.
Claudine and Rupert are working on a project. A love project.
When I get to know you better. Maybe. I said maybe.
And while they're working hard to get it together, the world's working harder to keep them apart.
Hello? Miss Claudine Price Leafer?
Yeah.
6 kids and 4 rooms.
36 and it ain't old. It's too old to be messing around.
20th Century Fox presents James Earl Jones and Diane Carroll in Claudine.
Fool it. Your mama's going on a date, like a nice restaurant, some fine music.
is gonna wind up chicken anyway.
Mom, it's Miss K back, the social worker.
Society gave us no choice. Tried to silence my voice, pushing me on the welfare.
Well, don't just stand there, honey. Let her in.
This man may be bringing things into your home which you may not be deducting. Now, you know I have to deduct on those things.
What things? What things, damn it? You have a man come over for dinner, he brings you a bottle of wine. I have a man come over for dinner, he brings me a damn six-pack. Oh, there are two left, Mr. Payback. Would you like a beer?
If you've ever laughed, you'll dig Claudine.
You're the gentleman that's been keeping company here.
I'm not mad. I'm just a garbage man.
Oh, well, may I have your name, please?
Simpson X, that's it. You've heard of Malcolm X, I'm Simpson X.
If you've ever cried, you'll dig Claudine.
Mama, I'm not a baby anymore. I know you're not a baby, but you're not a woman either. I'm nothing. That's what I am. I don't know nothing. I don't have nothing. I'm nothing.
If you've ever had dreams, you'll dig Claudine.
I have actually avoided success. Oh, no. You know why? Because when you are successful and rich, people will envy you and hate you. And I want people to love me.
If you've ever had troubles, you'll dig Claudine.
Monty, baby. Hey! Cheer up. It could get worse. I cheered up, and the law was right. It got worse.
If you've got heart.
Suppose I do not marry this lady. Now, if I move in with her and do not tell you, then we're both crooks, right? But if I do tell you, then we're back to the income and the outcome and the deducting, and you drive me to drink. And you call a fraud if I spend $7 for a bottle of whiskey.
If you've got soul.
But there's one thing you better know. And that is, I love all of y'all.
If you're young, old, rich, poor, black, white, or green, you'll dig Claudine.
A third world cinema production? What do you mean by that? No.
You'll dig Claudine.
Okay, so that's an interesting one. Again, it gives you another. It's like a time capsule into the thoughts and minds of those that were around during this time and lived through it. So let's see. Early 70s were a boom time for African American actors in movies. Apparently, because this is 1, 2, 3 movies in just the 70s. 4, 5. Yeah, 5 movies in the 70s, and all, like, Star Wars was a massive hit. A rare film with a black lead that was more like the rich character dramas that the new Hollywood directors were making circa 1974. Jones plays a garbage man. Okay, so he wasn't actually lying to that service worker. Whose romance with a single mother played by Diahan, something like that. Carol is threatened by her concern that their cohabitation could threaten her welfare payments. Honest about ghetto life without becoming strident, Claudine benefits greatly from Jones and Carol's performance, which are filled with humor, more humor and heart than despair. Interesting. So having grown up in the 90s, I had a fair number of black friends, and the like apartments that were shown here are very reminiscent of what I remember, not just for black people, of course, but like what all apartment buildings really looked like. Yeah, that's very interesting. The Bingo Long Traveling All Stars in Motor. Okay, let's see what this one's about.
In the 1930s, to play ball in the major leagues, you had to be white. To play in the Negro League, You had to be great. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Bingo Long and the greatest congregation of athletic talent ever assembled in one place at one time for one purpose.
Play ball! They say you're a pretty fair hitter. So they says. Well, hit this.
Billy D. Williams is Bingo Long. James Earl Jones is Leon Carter.
Ball players gotta overthrow the owners and run the teams their own self.
You think we can do that?
Do what?
Overthrow the owner.
Sure. Same day we turn white.
Richard Pryor is Charlie Snow.
From now on, I'm going to be known as Carlos Navarro. I'm going to break into the majors as a Cuban.
He can hit, he can run, he can score.
Buenas noches, senora. Can I buy you a drink?
The Bingo Long, traveling all-stars and motor kings.
What you gonna do about this mess, Sally Potter? It's your picture what's leading this band of detergents.
Your all-stars against mine. One big game down in St. Louis.
Barnstorming in the 1930s. It was daring.
Just drop me off at the baseball park.
It was demoralizing.
Come on, this wonderful lady.
It was downright dangerous.
You gentlemen checking out?
Who would have thought it could be so much fun?
Whoa!
Now we got to ruin that team before they're gonna ruin us.
Bingo Long traveling all-stars and monarchy.
That's a very interesting looking looking movie. The Motown produced look at the 1930s heyday of barnstorming baseball teams made up of players too old, too young, or too independent for either the major leagues or the Negro Leagues, featured an A-list ensemble cast. Interesting. I've already seen Star Wars, but I wanna play this anyway. It's only been a long while.
Luke Skywalker was just a farm boy until he received a mysterious message from a princess.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
She's beautiful.
Star Wars, starring Mark Hamill,
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Harrison Ford,
Boring conversation anyway. Luke, we're gonna get company! I think we took a wrong turn.
Carrie Fisher,
Good luck.
Alec Guinness,
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
20th Century Fox presents the most extraordinary motion picture of all time, Star Wars.
I mean, they're not wrong. Especially
No
at the
legendary
time,
adventure
this
of the
was.
past could be as exciting as this romance of the future.
Here they come.
May the Force be with you in Star Wars.
This was pretty groundbreaking. This was like the best film of all time, especially during that during this era, during the 1970s. This was an absolutely amazing series, and I mean it's still going today. So for better or worse. So it's interesting to see that he produced 5 movies in the span of 10 years. But then in the 80s, there's only 2 from James Earl Jones. And I wonder why that is, of course. I mean, I'm sure Star Wars probably took up a lot of his time. Um, I wonder if maybe it was maybe like future Star Wars movies that were keeping him tied up during all this, or maybe it was just this one. Well, I guess not just this one since it was '70s, but Let's see. For whatever reasons, Jones rarely worked with the great filmmakers of his era. One of the most prominent and welcome exceptions was Matawan, written and directed by John Sayles, who applied his typically novelistic approach to the true story of a violent 1920s clash between West Virginia miners and their employers' hired goons. Jones plays one of the contingent black miners who have divided loyalties because they can't all afford the privilege of principled idealism. Let's see, and then there's Field of Dreams. Shoeless Joe, an Iowa farmer whose voices tell him first to carve a baseball diamond out of a cornfield, and then to find a reclusive novelist, J.D. Salinger. The movie version, renamed Field of Dreams, changes the author to the fictional Terrence Mann, and it casts Jones in the part, relying on the actor's venerability to sell Mann's sudden change from uh, don't know what that word is. Not going to try and pronounce it. From whatever that is, reluctant to a true believer in the hero's cause. While the film can get awfully hokey, Jones's speeches about baseball, America, and hope always ring true. So what else is interesting is there's like what, one, two movies where he plays baseball. Um, he plays a president or stars in one that has a black president. Uh, this is just really interesting. He's kind of done like almost every kind of role. He's done baseball, boxing, politics, like kind of humorous but like motivational kind of movies. A comedy or like a anti-war like comedy kind of thing. And then of course Star Wars. He's done this one where he played a black miner. Jones really did kind of just do every type of movie, which is to me just kind of interesting. Um, and yeah, and so let's see. Obviously, The Lion King, Cry the Beloved Country, the first movie version of Alan Patton's 1948 anti whatever that is novel starred a young Poitier as an activist priest helping an older colleague understand the realities of racial strife and poverty in Johannesburg. In the 1995 adaptation released after the end of that, Jones is the older priest embodying a simple, soulful way of life that was lost when South Africa tore itself apart. Very interesting. Very interesting. So he's also played a priest, which is hey, not many actors could say they have this like this diverse of a portfolio. Uh, Billy Bob Thornton. Now there's a name I've heard before. And his screenwriting partner Tom Epperson. Haven't heard of him. Penned this unusually thorny, feel-good drama comedy with Robert Duvall. I feel like I've heard that name. Playing a Southerner who discovers that he is half black and has a brother in Chicago he never knew. Jones is that brother and has been aware and resentful of the family secret his entire life. The movie is about the uh, gradual, fitful process of both racial and domestic reconciliation, but Jones carries a lot of deep anger in his performance, making it plain that when it comes to the more shameful corners of American history, forgiveness won't ever come easy. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Um, I wonder. I mean, I don't even wonder because I feel like this is probably true. I wonder if like the anger is like coming from like a personal level. Um, I'm not sure, but I feel like it might be considering he grew up during all of this and everything, right? And so like he lived through all of this and then he got the chance to become better than it, right? That's just very, very interesting. And then the last one is the Second Civil War in 1997. An underrated entry in the filmography of Joe Dante, an underrated director, but never heard of him. The HBO movie was prescient in the way it satirizes anti immigrant hysteria and it skewers the rising influence of cable news on politics. Oh man, if they only knew where that shit would get to now. Because it might not be cable specifically anymore, but those same news channels are like only politics now. They're like hard one side or hard the other, and there's not really any in between. There's no real nuance in it. So very, very interesting. Jones here is a perfectly Jones here is perfectly cast, playing an old school broadcaster adjusting to his new bosses, many of whom play fast and loose with the facts. Gee, I wonder where I've heard that before. In the name of stoking outrage and driving up ratings. Wow. Wow. That is exactly what's happening today. So that's that's pretty funny. It makes sense to have the voice of CNN in this part representing an age of dignity about to fade into memory. Ooh. Ooh. And that memory is about to fade into obscurity at this point, if it hasn't already. That is interesting. So yeah, anyways, that's really probably about it for this video. Um, just a quick look back into the man, the myth, the legend, James Earl motherfucking Jones, and some of his greatest films of all time. Uh, Let me know down in the comments whether you like the video or not. Let me know down in the comments, what kind of memories you have of it. My favorite memories are his role as Mufasa. I think his role as Mufasa is absolutely perfect, and I legitimately don't think they could actually have another Mufasa. I don't think that anyone else would be able to do the role justice. I mean, I'm gonna say it, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but that's just how I feel. So yeah. Anyways, if you liked the video, hit the like button. Hit subscribe. If you didn't like the video, leave a comment. Let me know why, and hit the dislike button. And until next time, thank you all for coming to my corner. I've been the DM as always, and I will see you all next time.